man, as they were sort of getting as they were getting all the drapes and stuff ready, once he got sedated and anesthetized and everything, they'd have to move their head, to put the little neck block and everything to make it feel comfortable, especially for the surgery and everything. And like, you don't think about how your skull moves underneath your skin. Like, do that. And actually what's happening is just your skull that's moving. Sorry, your skin moving above your skull. Okay? Imagine like seeing your skull now as you move someone's head, and you just see this like white weird thing that's like moving in like the opposite direction to the skin that you're moving it to and stuff. And you're just like, yuck, that's disgusting.
Welcome back to Subcut, the medical-ish podcast where we talk about things that will be relevant and interesting to you if you're in high school, medical school, if you're working as a doctor, or just anyone who's interested in the healthcare profession. My name is Justin. I used to be a doctor.
My name is Emma. I'm a third-year physiotherapy student.
And my name's Niel. I'm a fourth-year medical student.
And the topic we're talking about in today's podcast is... Well, it's not really a topic. It's just Neil telling a story.
Story time.
Neil, tell us your story about how you screwed up and ruined it for everything.
Oh, thanks, man. Okay. How do you start? Okay. Well, I was on my pediatric surgery attachment maybe a few weeks ago. And so you're obviously in a surgery sort of environment. You spend most of your time in the operating theaters as students and stuff as well. See what the surgeries go on and stuff, how they're like and everything. And it's cool. Occasionally you might get to scrub in, which is basically where you wear these like nice sterile gowns and stuff. And sterility is a big thing in surgery as well, right? You want to make sure that there's like no germs as far as possible when you're in contact with the patient, especially when they've got like exposed skin from the wound or the wound that you're about to make in the surgery itself.
Let's just set how important the need to have good hygiene and sterility is. So like, when you're washing your hands, people say like wash your hands like a surgeon. That's not possible for you to do if you're a normal human living at home. You can't do that because when you wash your hands as a surgeon, there's multiple steps that are involved and it takes a long time. And also the taps are specially designed so you never have to touch them again with your hands. Mm-hmm. And when you scrub into a surgery, you wash up to above your elbow and you use iodine or providine solution, which is normally administered through a special bristled sponge plastic thing.
There's a reason why it's called scrub in.
Yeah, you're literally scrubbing away
like you scrub the epidermis off. You're like
yeah. Sometimes if you scrub like the first time you scrub for the day, fingerprint sensors on phones won't work because your fingers are just too like smooth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So you're cleaning under the nails. You're getting every single thing. There's a very specific hand washing. I don't know how many steps it is, but like process to make sure that you are getting every single spot on your hands and on your forearms. Even when you're rinsing everything off, you have to rinse it in a fashion where the water travels from your fingertips down to your elbows, because if water were to travel from your elbow down,
dirty water,
any bacteria that comes from above you might actually travel down through the water and then land back onto your hands. So even like that, at any point in the scrubbing process, you might be 1 second away from finishing. If your hand touches anything,
the tap,
the side of the wall, anything, even for a moment, you have to restart the whole process again, right? So that's how intense the scrubbing process is. So when you're a beginner, like a fourth-year medical student first entering into a theater, like how long does it take to scrub when you're first doing like 10 minutes?
What's the steps? Where's the like instructions on how to do it?
And halfway through, you touch everything and you're like,
shit, damn it. Like the surgeon will tell you, okay, go start scrubbing in now. Yeah. And the surgeon's not about to start in like half an hour.
No, seriously, they say like, go start scrubbing in. So because when you first start, it takes like 10 minutes, maybe even more to like when you're first starting to scrub in. So it's a big, long process, and there's a specific sequence through which you put your gloves and gown on. The nurse helps you so you don't have to touch anything. So when you watch movies and stuff where they're finished scrubbing and they put their hands in these sterile gloves and they're sweating and then they're just like, wipe the sweat with my hand.
Bullshit.
You'll get completely you're going to get owned. Absolutely. Everyone in the entire surgical theater is going to stare at you like, are you crazy? Like, are you an idiot right now.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah.
So like it's, you take it seriously. Even like, so for example, like, if me and Emma are operating on this table, right? And we're next to each other, right? So if I need to move to the other side of Emma, we do what's called back to back. So if I move this way, so if you're just listening on the podcast, this is the reason why you need to find us on YouTube. You wouldn't move kind of like facing their back, because if they move, they might touch your
hands,
hand, and then you have to. If that happens, you take your gloves off, and then you have to re-glove. Or if it's really contaminated, if there's a hole or something there, then you might have to even re-scrub potentially.
Yeah.
So you do back to back, which is basically you kind of like point. Yeah, as you turn, you roll away, and then face backs with each other, and you kind of roll back into position.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
a rehearsed dance and stuff actually as well. Yeah.
And there's usually music playing in theater too. 1 and 2 and back to back. And arrive back on beat. Yeah, anyway, so sterility, super big deal. Yeah, big deal. Yeah.
Okay, and like even with that as well, I'll describe what the sterile window is. Essentially just like a space even just this big. And after describing all of that and all the concern that we take with sterility, at the end of the day, like the hard rule is that you don't move your hands anywhere else, and you try not to touch anything else apart from this area over here.
And what is that area for the people that are listening?
The sterile window.
Is that just your chest area?
So wherever's being operated on.
Yeah.
So they usually take a big patch of wherever is being operated, and they will clean the hell out. So they, they will trim any hairs that are there. So you get a free shave, and then you get again iodine or chlorhexidine to like sterilize it multiple times, and then you drape a surgical thing that's kind of adhered to your skin over it. And the table is as low as your hands go. So if your hands can't actually even drop below the table, just in case, like even the air under the table is dirty. Yeah. So like for example, if you're like holding a tool and then you drop it, you don't catch it again. You let it drop.
Yeah.
You let it drop because it's more of a hassle for you to contaminate yourself. Then you have to go and then whatever, and then but they can just bring in a new instrument.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the story. So at this point now, I've sort of been on my surgical run for about I think this was my 6th week, and we only get 6 weeks as fourth year medical students. So this is towards the end of my 6th week. So like, as far as experience would go for a fourth year medical student, I'm like approaching the end point for my general surgery attachment and stuff. Like, I think I've sort of got it, vaguely, like roughly. Okay. And it was one of the last days. It might be the last opportunity I'll get to actually scrub in. I had a really, really lovely registrar that's on pediatric surgery, and she's like, "Come on, let's scrub in." And I think it was literally just we just had to clean the wound, and I'll describe what actually happened. Essentially, a kid, a 7 or 8 year old kid, went full speed running into the sliding door, not into the glass, but into the actual like corner of the door itself, and it's a metal sharp like corner. Poor kid ends up splitting his head like this big incision over there, and it's a dirty cut. Like it's like a trauma impact cut. When you if you were to really like hit something of your body really, really hard, the skin just tears. It doesn't cause a bruise. Like it just splits. Okay, and especially when you've got something hard underneath there, like your skull. Okay, it's ridiculous. And I was like, "Ooh, yeah, that sounds nasty." Okay. And I was like, fine, okay. But I've seen surgeries before. I've seen like people's guts hanging out and everything. I've touched the gallbladder. I've touched the liver and everything. Like, it's fine. Like, that stuff's okay. Okay? And I sort of pinpointed what exactly it was that made me feel like nauseous and everything. Oh, spoiler alert. Anyway. But essentially, okay, kid gets wheeled in and thing. Not like anesthetized or anything like that. He's not sedated at all. Just like walking in like a champ and stuff. And he was fine. Not walking in, sorry. Just on the bed, rolled in and transfer him onto the actual operating table and stuff as well. It was all fine and stuff. I walk a bit closer. I just go, oh my god! There's just a huge cut on his his head, and I was just like, ow! That does look a little bit bad, actually. It looks pretty bad. But it's okay. Okay, no, I'll go scrub in now. I'll get my stuff ready. Do the whole process, sterility number 1, and walk back in and stuff. And while I'm scrubbing it, I'm sort of just thinking about how bad it must have hurt for this kid and everything like that. I did my whole scrubbing and process, gowned up and stuff. I was ready to start. I was just the typical fourth year student in the corner, like just like not moving my hands anywhere else, or just looking at it. But I was just sort of observing what the kid was doing and how he was sort of behaving. man, as they were sort of getting as they were getting all the drapes and stuff ready, once he got sedated and anesthetized and everything, they'd have to move their head, to put the little neck block and everything to make it feel comfortable, especially for the surgery and everything. And like, you don't think about how your skull moves underneath your skin. Like, do that. And actually what's happening is just your skull that's moving. Sorry, your skin moving above your skull. Okay? Imagine like seeing your skull now as you move someone's head, and you just see this like white weird thing that's like moving in like the opposite direction to the skin that you're moving it to and stuff. And you're just like, yuck, that's disgusting. But I'm like, okay, no, I still got this. It's okay. Like I've been here before. This is fine. It's okay. It's all good. Oh man. And then it was time finally that the surgery actually starts and stuff. And I come in, I'm like, I've never actually done this before, never properly like sutured the wound at that point like that. I was sort of just the tool holder at that point and stuff. Okay. This is the mistake that I ended up doing afterwards. I ended up sort of just playing the whole scenario in my head of that kid running full speed into the sliding door, and I can feel nauseous about it right now. Just like I could like feel that impact that the kid would have had, like probably like profusely crying. I don't even know if he knocked himself out or not, and there's just like blood everywhere, and it's just like it's just a terrible, terrible wound. And then then I started feeling my face started feeling a little bit, light, and I started just feeling a little bit pale and then like a little bit weird, bit of a funny tummy feeling sensation just everywhere. I started feeling drained and stuff. Yeah. And these were the words that I uttered before I had my legendary fall and faint. It was essentially just like, hey, I think I'm gonna faint. I didn't even finish the word faint. Hey, I think I'm gonna faint. And apparently, at this point on, I'm blank. I have no idea what recollection was. My cool ass TI in the room, Liam, if you're watching this, he was in the room at the time, and he was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy! What's happening right now?" But he was just telling me all the recount of the events and stuff afterwards. And essentially, this is what happened was, I think I'm gonna faint, and I said it like it was a real like a real. I don't know if it's like matter of fact, like interesting observation, Neil. I think I'm gonna faint. On the T consonant of faint. I rock forward, I rock back, and I flop forward.
You flop forward.
Forward. And where is the patient?
Just go.
In front of me.
Oh
no! However, the wound site that we're looking at and stuff is really, really small. So I didn't actually fall on the wound itself. I ended up falling just like near it or thereabouts. And I didn't actually fall directly on the person itself, apparently, either. The surgeon, despite holding some sharp tools and like scissors and stuff in her hand, she like fended me off with her elbow, and she's like, bloody hell. This one's bugging, give me another one. Shoves me over, the anesthetist comes in and is like hoists me underneath my armpits, and he's like lowers me to the ground, at which point, and I'm starting to regain like consciousness and stuff. Okay, and then I just realized like the next memory, the initial memory from that was I'm standing, I think I'm going to fur, and then I'm on the ground now, and I just look at like the ceiling, I'm like, what a strange place to be in right now, I'm like, wow, I feel really comfortable. The ground is a little bit cold, and there are people around me. There's like, why there are lots of people around me. What's going on? Where am I? What's wrong? And I just realized that I probably fainted at that point. And my first words were just like, oh my God, is the patient okay? Did I fall on the patient? Did I decontaminate the sterile field and stuff?
What are the surgeons
they were like, no, you're okay. No, you didn't do any of that. I think I might have actually, but like, you won't tell a fainting person that anyway.
It's because you fainted in pediatric surgery. People that work in pediatrics are like really nice. They're super nice
That's
people.
True. They're really, really sweet.
Yeah, if you like fainted during, I don't know, like straight up general surgery or orthopedics, it probably would have been like, just cut through you. Get this out of my way.
Get this out of the way. Yeah. No, everyone was super, super nice and lovely. Although the charge nurse walked in and she just looked at me like, walked back out. And I was like, but yeah, and then eventually what happened was they said, you need to get up and stuff. We're going to put you on a bed and stuff. Like 10,000 people went, legitimately like 12 extra people ended up coming into the room and stuff. They're like, if all the medical students fainted on the floor, oh God, make sure he picks up and stuff. Yeah. At this point, I can see like while I'm hanging on the ground, I'm just seeing like my registrar's walking back to get re-scrubbed again. I'm like, shit. No. They're hoisting me up into the bed. I'm like, okay. I tried to get it. They're like, no, we're gonna do it for you. I fully get the whole treatment. Felt like a day in the life of a patient and stuff without actually feeling of all the other bad stuff.
Was that Instagram
Yes, yeah.
I was wondering
I
I
had a little, what's it called? I had a popsicle in my mouth and stuff.
Yeah.
Aim of that, get your sugars up and stuff. Gave me 2 glasses of water to drink. And so, okay, let's evaluate actually then, because I was trying to learn what actually went wrong and stuff in that way. And I'll talk a bit about what the actual fainting experience was like.
Overload.
Empathy overload, yeah.
Poor kid, poor God.
It's so nice. I thought that fainting would be relatively common. So they'd just be like,
Fainting
just like put them on the side, wait for them to like wake up.
Yeah,
It's very common.
But as I was being wheeled out and stuff by another anaesthetist that came on, and then another surgical registrar that came, they're like, "Don't worry, we've done this before. This is your first time, probably not your last time."
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. I just felt really bad at that point, but yeah, they were super comforting about it. Lovely, lovely people. Rosie and Lucy were the surgical registrars, and yeah, they're really, really lovely if you get a chance to be with them. But yeah, they wheeled me out, gave me a nice pep talk, made me feel comfortable and stuff. And then at that point, they're like, "You can go home if you want to." So it's fine.
And you're like,
but I'm like,
plan succeeded.
no. At that point, I'm like, I have to chip my shot. I got to prove myself now.
Yeah.
Felt horrible, but no. Okay,
And it was your last week too.
It was my last week
Your
too.
defining moment.
Exactly.
How to remember you.
But the thing was, okay, I had nothing to eat that day. I was dehydrated. I'd barely drunk any water and stuff. We had to wear the gown plus the full mask and everything as well. I've been wearing a mask the entire day because COVID and everything was going on at that time. The surgical theatre was actually quite hot as well. So there are several different things that sort of, precipitating factors that resulted in that. Plus empathy overload. Let's call it that right now, yeah? And that was just an experience. One other thing though, like if you've ever fainted, I'm not sure if you could like pick up on this. And maybe it was just because I was like gracefully lowered down to the ground. But the actual waking up process, I cannot emphasize how smooth that was. Like, it's such a weird thing to say, but I've never woken up so smoothly. It's like the best waking up like I've ever done in my life.
I'm like, I used to be severely anemic, and so fainting was like my second
really?
job. And so I was like a pro fainter. Like when I hear you and you said you were standing until you said I'm about to faint, it's like in my head I'm like, why wouldn't you just go on the ground? Like you know you're about to faint.
Exactly.
Like get on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I kind of know what you
That's
mean
what
when
they
you
say.
wake up. It's kind of like you kind of like swim into like reality.
Yeah. Exactly. It's so smooth. Like
What a
I would
weird
pay
bonding
for that.
You guys are like bonding over fainting.
I would legit I would pay for that. It's such a cool feeling. It's like euphoric almost. But anyway, on what you were saying, and this is like, I guess if you want to take something out of this, you're gonna be a fainter or not. Heed the early warning signs and like
Get on the
make
floor.
sure you take that seriously and stuff. Because I was having the big macho moment of like, nah, I can fight this off. No, it's fine.
No.
Yeah, I'm
You
feeling a little
feel-
bit lightheaded and
You
stuff.
feel
No,
the
it's
blood
okay.
draining from your body. Just get on the ground. Like
If anyone had a camera on me or like videoing me at that point, I would have just looked like at the wound and I'd just be like, look outside the window. I'm fine. I'm good. And I'm like, tensing my calves, squeezing my butt cheeks, essentially to get blood flow back to your brain, so you make sure you're.
oh, I didn't know that was
perfused and
actually a
everything.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're
Just
just
get on the
clenching our
ground
butt
and put
cheeks for
your
no
head
reason.
between your between your legs.
And so we're doing all that, and I just thought I could fight it off, and it would eventually go away. Evidently not. And so it actually ended up happening again the week after. Not the faint, not the entire thing, but when I was on the anesthetics run, I don't even know what exactly for at that point was, but I took it seriously. It was obstetrics and gynecology. So I was watching some cesarean sections, and that's a pretty crazy surgery to watch for the first time as well. Like a human being brought out of you. It's amazing. And then at that point, I was just like, ooh, feeling faint. I like stretch, like let all the blood rush to my head again. Go for a walk around this like on surgical theatre. People
So you bet
looking
it.
at me like, hey,
You learned.
yeah, I bet it. Yeah, at that point, I'm so like hyper attuned now to like what the trigger signs. Thank you.
Proud of you.
Graduating from fainting college.
By me, the
So
professional.
moral of the story is you can't fight your physiology.
yeah.
Don't
Just
don't
get
try
on
to
the
be
Heed the
ground.
early warning signs
Heed the early warning signs
and be on pediatric surgery if you're gonna faint.
Yeah.
Or else just don't faint at
Nice.
all.
Yeah.
No, but shout out to Peds team. I love you guys. Miss you.
Yeah. And really good tip for not fainting would be like, the basics, obviously, like stay hydrated, have like a bar in your pocket if you're on a surgical run to prevent things like that. Some surgeons even wear like compression stockings if they know they're going to be standing for a long time. These are the things. But great tip that works the most is make sure to subscribe and like, comment.
Studies have shown that there's been a positive correlation.
I've studied this. I've studied this, and if you search for it, you will definitely find real results in journals. Then
What
if you
journal,
subscribe, the journal of subscribe and like and share. And thanks for watching.
Bye.
Oh, gosh. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to Subcut. If you guys have any suggestions for content, please make sure you send it through.
You can get in touch and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, or find us on our website at jttmid.com/subcut.
Subcut is a podcast brought to you by JTT. If you or anyone you know is interested in a career in medicine, make sure to get in touch and check us out at jttmid.com.